Hello, my name is Brett Spence, and today we'll be talking about the historical Balto. Alright, let's begin. Most people know of Balto from the Abilene animation movie from 1995, where Balto is portrayed as a wolf dog raised by a Russian goose named Boris, who is bullied by the other dogs in Nome and falls in love with a beautiful husky named Jenna. Even though the movie is good, the movie is very historically inaccurate, and I'll be telling you about the historical Balto. Little is known about Balto's early years. He was born in 1919 in Nome, Alaska, at the kennel of Norwegian Kavan American musher named Leonhard Zappala, and named him Balto after Samuel Balto, a member of Fridtjof Nansen's expedition to Greenland in 1881. Due to Balto's body type being small and stocky, Zappala saw Balto as second-rate and unable to run as fast as his other dogs. He considered him a snub dog and had him neutered at 6 months old and had him haul freight and large cargo and being a part of a team that pulled rail carts for his mining company. A close friend of Zappala and another native Norwegian, Gunnar Carlsen, who had 21 years of dog slaying experience, who came to know Balto through Zappala's mining company, and he believed that Zappala had misjudged Balto's potential and that Balto's short stature allowed him to be strong and steady. On January 1925, there was a potential for an epidemic of diphtheria was poised to sweep through the young people of Nome, and the city was put into quarantine. Dr. Curtis Welch transmitted that the town's existing serum was running out and requested more serum. There was serum in Anchorage but couldn't be sent by air due to the weather, so it was decided that to get the serum to Nome was through dog sled, where the serum would be transported to Nenana, where a team of marshals led by Zappala would take the serum to Nome. Alaskan Governor Scott Cordell Bone worried that Zappala's team would experience fatigue, so they added more marshals to Zappala's team, with Carlsen put in charge of Zappala's dog team that was used for Zappala's company work, and the team was led by a dog named Fox, but Carlsen made Balto co-leader alongside Fox despite being largely untied as a sled dog prior to the run, because Carlsen had confidence in Balto. The first musher took the serum from Nana, and the team of mushers facing a blizzard in minus 31-degree temperatures went on their 674 miles relay. The serum package was handed to Carlsen by Charles Olson in Buff at 10 p.m. on February 1st. The blizzard quickly began to bear down on Carlsen's team, and they became lost and confused, so Carlsen moved Balto to the lead and yelled at Balto, "Go home, Balto!" Balto was able to navigate through the storm, but at one point Balto stopped in front of a patch of ice on the top of a river that broke underneath him, and Balto saved Carlsen and the other dogs' lives. Carlsen suffered from frostbite after he had to find the package of serum in the snow with his bare hands after the site ripped. Carlsen and company arrived at port safety ahead of schedule and found that Ed Rohn, the musher for the final team, was not ready. In fact, he was asleep. Thinking that Carlsen had stopped in Solomon, which Carlsen had passed during the blizzard, and Carlsen decided to keep going. Despite suffering from exposure and exhaustion, they traveled the remaining 25 miles to Nome at 5:30 a.m. with all 300,000 units of serum delivered safely, and they went to D4 themselves, and when Zappala reached Nome 2 days later and praised Carlsen for continuing on despite the horrible blizzard. When a reporter from the United Press arrived to cover the story, Carlsen gave all the credit to Balto, saying, "I gave Balto, my lead dog, his head and trust to him. He never once faltered. It was Balto who led the way. The credit is his." After delivering the serum to Dr. Welch and hugged Balto and said, "Damn fine dog, damn fine dog." 7 days later, Washington Senator Clarence Dill recognized the efforts of everyone who helped with the serum run, but cited Balto in particular, saying, "This black Siberian dog, through the darkness and storm across this icy desert and kept the trail when no human being could possibly have found the way. The newspapers were heralding the feats achieved during the serum run almost exclusively to Balto, eclipsing the efforts of the 18 other mushers and 150 side dogs during the run, with the New York Daily publishing exclusive photos of Casson arriving in Nome with Balto as the lead dog. It later came to light that those were staged, recreated hours after the event. Balto also appeared in a short movie which is now lost, and a Blown Over City by the mayor of Los Angeles. Casson and Balto traveled across the country and made public appearances and being bestowed gifts from cities they visited, and New York City erected a statue of Balto in Central Park on December 17, 1925. The statue also made an appearance in the Balto movie. During the production of the short film, Casson signed a contract with Educational Pictures and film producer Sol Lesser, but after the film was released, Casson sued Lesser for unpaid wages, and the dispute with Lesser was resolved. Balto and his teammates were sold to Sam Houston, a owner of a traveling circus. It is unclear the exact circumstances of the sale, but what is known is that Casson returned to Nome. He found himself alienated due to his fame, with some expressing resentment over Casson's bypassing Ed Rowan. Zapala and Casson never spoke to each other again, despite Zapala praising Casson for continuing through despite the blizzard, but over time, Zapala got annoyed with Balto and Casson's celebrity status and how him and his lead dog Togo, who went through the one's longest and most dangerous part. He went on a similar tour with Togo before relocating to Poland Springs, Maine in March 1927 and downplayed the serum run. Under Sam Houston's ownership, the dogs were made into an exhibit in a dime museum in Los Angeles. Here they were poorly treated, with them being chained to a sled with their only exercise consisting of a brief trip in the museum's back alley, and their ribs were showing. Jack Woodridge of the Oakland Tribune wrote of the mistreatment of Balto and his team, and when Cleveland businessman George Kimmel saw the mistreatment of Balto and his teammates, outraged by this, Kimmel offered to buy the dogs, but Houston would only sell them for $2,000. Personally, I think Mr. Houston needed a damn good thrashing, but Kimmel decided on a more practical route. Since Kimmel couldn't afford to buy Balto and team, so he reached out to businessmen, elected officials, and the plane dealer to start a fundraiser to buy Balto and team, with them able to raise $2,245.88 to purchase the entire 7-dog team on March 9, 1927, after a 9-day fundraiser. Balto and team arrived in Cleveland on March 16th, and on the 19th, they held a parade for Balto and team. Despite it raining, thousands of people turned up, with Judge Rule transferring ownership of Balto and his team to the city, and the dogs now lived in Brookside Zoo. Balto continued making public appearances, and the dog's enclosure was described as excellent, but people did complain, with one letter to the editor saying that when they visited the zoo on a hot day, they saw Balto tied to a tree, and in front of the tree was a water pan with a few drops of water in it. Balto would die on the 14th of March 1933, and his body would be taxidermied and displayed at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History. I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. See you next time.